come.
Well, good to hear that. I think this space is very exciting. You see new different business models coming up every time. And my personal experience taught me that it's very good to be flexible, and it always helps to see when you have to pivot and to see which model is working, which is not. And given that this is the decentralized space, I've seen the consumers or the end users are way more reactive here. They want to be more and more involved in the project, be it Discord channels, Twitter, all these spaces. I've seen a lot of good feedback in terms of timelines, product features. Everything comes from the consumers and the community. So good to hear what you are building, and all the best for that as well. We were discussing the business opportunities for people in the metaverse space and also in Web3 in general. And you are a founder of a project. Julian is at a lead position in another project. I think it would be really helpful to share your experience. And while Julian and I have quickly shared ours, how we identified like the first opportunity that made us believe that we want to work towards and build towards this space, I would want to know what was your story or the opportunity that you got in the Web3 space that made you hooked to it and build in it.
Yeah, I think well, you know, my experience is a pretty long and old one. I'm showing how old I am now, but I've sort of been a software engineer for about 30 years, working on all sorts of crazy projects, a lot of future projects, AI, robotics, a lot of large enterprise level streaming as well. So solutions that deliver content to, if not millions, billions of people, things like the Olympics live and stuff like that. So really complex infrastructure and global spaces. From the Web3 perspective, looking at areas like cryptocurrency, blockchain, NFTs, for a couple of years now, myself and specifically one of my co-founders, Dale, we've really pulled apart blockchains and things like that. We tend to look at areas and run them to ground to find out where there's going to be issues or challenges with bringing something to market, and what the advantages are for the user above ourselves. Now, what's really interesting here is that, and I should say this up front, is that whilst we are very pro crypto and blockchain and this sort of space of transacting, another interesting scenario is that we are focusing on a global audience from day one. So the things that we're working on with the partners that we're working on is global from day one. And because of that, we need to manage the reality of the world as a whole, right? And what we found was a number of things. There's a number of countries that won't allow businesses to use crypto. There is also a vast majority of businesses that are not ready for crypto. They're not even ready for blockchain, right? And a lot of this comes to operational risk and things like that. So our approach was to actually go the other way and say, the metaverse, we can help them by removing all of these operational risks, right? And we can get them trading in fiat currency first. Then the leap for them to go from that into crypto spaces when they become regulated is a gap that's very short. And you would think that actually that somehow should be easier, right? Because we're all used to having payment systems and fiat and all the rest of it. Unfortunately, because of the companies, and I'm not going to name them, but the organizations in general that control the flow of funds, fiat-based funds globally, we significant agreements globally to enable anybody to be able to trade in fiat in a metaverse. And so what that really means is that anybody, an individual or business, can create a store, can sell goods and services for fiat directly through us, right? Anywhere in the world. And with the upswing being, as I'm saying, that when regulation comes in and as regulation is applied, then there'll be an opportunity there for businesses to switch over. in some ways it's a tough decision to take, but in other ways it's actually not, because of the end users, because of the business. It's not about what we want to do and what we think is cool and great, and can't you see how this all works and can streamline this and make this better. It's about everybody else, and the vast majority of businesses around the world, that is the position they're in from a global perspective, and that's why we're going to support it that way first.
No, I definitely hear you. I guess it's very important to listen and hear to the audience, as I said. And we also kind of realized at one point that while wallets and blockchain and all these transparency are amazing technologies and can do wonders, but people do want their social logins before they bridge to an anonymous wallet or any other kind of login. So that was like a very small example, but in one of the other conversations, we kind of coined this term called Web 2.5 before we jump to Web 3.0. So that is, I think, what we're talking about. We need to get the brands, the end users, everyone prepared for a fully decentralized, trustless economy before before we get there, we gotta do it step by step. We have been talking about the opportunities in this space and what the users want. But there's also this factor as to what is available kind of dictates what the market uses. So the next topic that I want to discuss is the technology that we're going to use to experience the virtual world, and not just the virtual world, in fact, the entire metaverse, whatever it becomes in the coming future. And very quickly before that, a small interesting question that I like to bring up is, what do you think is the difference between virtual reality and metaverse?
Well, I think it's always an interesting question, these sorts of questions, right? And the way I tend to answer it is that it shouldn't be the question. The question actually should be, what can the metaverse become, right? And from there, we sort of, we start to explore different things, okay? For us, it's a very specific set of phases and how we talk to people and understand where they want and what they want to do, whether it's virtual reality, whether it's augmented reality, mixed reality, or whether it is actually an interface on a device that they've currently got. And you think about the use cases from different perspectives. From a gaming perspective, there is one set of perspectives there that lend themselves in some ways very nicely towards VR, for example. But then look at different use cases like education, for example, is a really good one. A distributed education where actually the vast majority of universities we've spoken to, they think it sounds great and might be a gimmick to give everybody headsets, but nobody truly believes anyone is going to sit there with a toaster on their head for 8 hours. It's hard enough to stay awake in lectures as it is, right? And so what we've worked on is what we call a converged technology space, right? And that's a whole lot of words, which simply means that the protocols that we've developed that will sit on everything will enable anybody and everybody to join any singular space at any point in time on any device in any mode that they want. So it doesn't matter if you're on a phone, you're on a laptop, you're in VR, it's all of those spaces combined at the same time. And that's the visualization of I think of where people sort of see a metaverse going. The interesting parts to add to that are these concepts of persistence and enabling that as built in by default on the solutions that we've created. Really hard challenge to solve. It was one of the first challenges we tried to solve. Took a little bit, but it's there. And so full persistence, meaning that nothing resets. Everything is live. It'll update at runtime, no problems at all. Persistence is there. The other key thing is interoperability. Either that's interoperability between the real world, reality, the virtual world as well as the interconnection between metaverse experiences. So by building in a solution that is, we call it hyper jumps. They're very similar to a hyperlink, but they're portal based, means that absolutely anybody can jump just like a hyperlink. Well, we base a lot on that on the reality or on the sort of the visualizations of Ready Player One as a movie, and so at the moment it sounds cheesy, but it's effective because people understand it. But we can put portals in spaces. Anybody can jump between any one of these spaces. As I say, unlimited number of people, unlimited amount of spaces, and that is what we're building very, very shortly. So yeah, there's a lot there for people to be able to mix between virtual reality and metaverse, right?